Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. But guys, the top 10 Pokemon Megas for the Hoenn region. Looking forward to Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now in this video, I'm going to be talking about 10 possible Mega Evolutions for Pokemon Sword and Shield in the brand new Galar region coming out later in 2019. If you haven't seen it, I did this video for the Kanto Megas and the Johto Megas, and we had some really cool responses from you guys. Seems like you love this series, and I really appreciate you guys checking this out again. Be sure to hit that like button down below if you enjoy. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know which one was your favorite from this video and maybe a Mega that I missed. And of course, you guys know what's next. You can let me know your thoughts on the Sinnoh region coming up next week. Without further ado, let's jump into this video. Let's jump into this countdown and talk about 10 awesome Pokemon that I'd like to see get Mega Evolutions in the Hoenn region for Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, the first Pokemon we're going to be talking about today is Mega Masquerain. Now, Masquerain is an absolute favorite Pokemon of mine. I've always loved it. It actually was my favorite Pokemon going way back in the day, and I really feel like it would be an awesome Mega Pokemon. So, talking about Masquerain, it obviously starts off as Surskit, which is a bug and water type, and then it evolves into a flying type. We're actually going to revert it back to a water type, so it's going to be bug and water. I've also made some changes to its stats, obviously. We're going to be adding about 100 point total to every Pokemon stats, and we usually don't touch the HP stat, as that's how Mega Evolution typically works in the games, and I do hope to see Mega Masquerain, if anything, that is for sure. One thing I also want to mention is you guys can check out the description below to see all the awesome artists featured in this video, so please go show them some love. Now, Masquerain is known for having a couple cool attributes, being able to Quiver Dance, being able to have Intimidate to lower the opponent's attack, and also having access to Sticky Web. So I kind of wanted to capture those different elements and make Masquerain a pretty versatile Pokemon, but very much so focused on special sweeping. So we're actually going to give it a new ability. I'm going to call it Petrify, but I don't know what to call it really. And basically, it's going to be a special type attack, Intimidate. So it basically does what Intimidate does, but lowers the special attack stat by one stage. So you could set in Masquerain, you can intimidate your opponent, you can Mega Evolve, and then lower their special attack as well. So their attack and their special attack are lowered, which gives you the perfect opportunity to then click Quiver Dance and boost up your special attack, special defense, and speed, making you an incredible powerful sweeper with moves like Hydro Pump and Air Slash and Bug Buzz, and even pivoting options like U-Turn and Sticky Web, and all sorts of cool stuff to support the team. So I really thought that Mega Masquerain would be a really cool idea and a unique Pokemon in the sense that it's going to be the fastest Sticky Web user aside from my Bombi at 120 speed, or I'm sorry, at 100 speed. I guess it's not the fastest, Galvantula is still faster, but still relatively fast Pokemon there with a really good typing in Bug Water. And keep in mind, it still has that massive crippling weakness to Stealth Rocks when it switches in, so it's not like this thing becoming Bug Water is going to be any sort of broken, because you're still going to lose 50% of your health if you switch into Stealth Rocks before Mega Evolution, so that's pretty big there. And its stat buff is pretty modest, a nice little buff to attack, nothing crazy there, and a nice little buff across the board, kind of making him a relatively well-rounded Pokemon. One thing I also want to note about Masquerain is it was one of the few Pokemon that did receive a stat buff going into Sun and Moon, so kind of cool. It got a nice little buff to its speed and its special attack, going up to 80 and 100 respectively, but we're going to make that Mega Evolution just a little bit stronger. And if there's definitely one Mega on this countdown that I want above all, it is this one, and probably one other one that I thought was really cool too, but I just have always loved this Pokemon, and I feel like it's such a cool design, and I always think back to playing through, you know, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and just how rare Surskit was at the beginning of the game, and just how cool and unique of a Pokemon it was in general. So hopefully we see Mega Masquerain in Sword and Shield. Now, this design and this idea is something that I absolutely love, and that's Mega Delcatty. Now, Delcatty is a normal type Pokemon with pretty mediocre stats. Its attack is pretty lackluster, and its speed is lackluster, and it's just really a below average Pokemon in general. But it has one thing very unique about it, and that is the ability Normalize. Now, Normalize is an ability that essentially is kind of like Pixelate or Galvanize or any of those 8 type abilities that take an attack and they boost it. But in the case of Delcatty, it actually turns all of Delcatty's attacks into normal type attacks. So if you use Sucker Punch, it becomes normal type. If you use, I don't know, let's Thunderbolt, it becomes normal type. Everything becomes normal type with Delcatty, and it gets a tiny boost, 1.2 times boost for Delcatty. So I thought that that's kind of cool. It already gives it a nice little boost on its normal type moves, and it turns everything into normal type attacks. So it gets essentially stabbed from everything, plus another boost on top of that. So I wanted to really focus on that concept with Mega Delcatty here, and we're gonna just focus on boosting its attack up to just a massive level up to 140, and its speed up to a formidable level at 115. It's not gonna get a boost to any of its bulk, and with the Normalize ability, I have a really cool set for this thing, and that is simply Fake Out and Last Resort. It's a set we see on Mega Lopunny, it's a set we see on Ambipom, and I really wanted to take that to another level with Delcatty by giving it not only Fake Out, which gives you kind of a priority, and the opponent really can't do anything unless it's like inner focus, so they get hit with that, plus it's stab boosted and normalized boosted, and then Last Resort is an incredibly powerful attack that's 140 base power that would get stab boosted plus normalized boosted and ultimately allow Delcatty to be a incredible cleaner and just a decent wall breaker in general. However, that set is completely walled by ghost types, so that's something to keep in mind. You're not even going to be able to attack ghost types with that set, but pretty interesting. It actually makes so Delcatty can never attack a ghost type because of normalized, which is cool. But there's also some other cool ideas, like I mentioned, Sucker Punch, and it gets some cool utility moves and stuff like that that could be useful. But ultimately, I wanted to see Delcatty get a little bit of love because of all the like really, really bad Pokemon, Delcatty's like definitely on that list. It's a really bad Pokemon. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to emphasize that a little bit and kind of play on its one unique kind of trait, which is its ability normalized. So we'll see what happens. Now, Chimecho was one of the most elusive Pokemon playing through Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald as a kid, and I remember finding this thing on Mount Pyre for the first time and just thinking how cool of a design it was. And while it's definitely a forgotten Pokemon that no one really cares about, and really only known because it has a pre-evolution in Chingling, Mega Chimecho would be really, really unique and really, really cool in terms of competitive Pokemon and just how I'd like to see a pretty much forgotten Pokemon get some love, and I think that's what Mega Evolutions are really all about. So Chimecho is known for being really kind of just a team support type Pokemon with Levitate, and it's got some really cool support options like Heal Bell and Healing Wish and things like that, but generally not a super good Pokemon. It does get Defog. But I wanted to play on one of its strengths, which is Cosmic Power, and I feel like Cosmic Power and Stored Power are two really cool combination moves, and the fact that you can boost your defenses to really, really high levels, and then you can use Stored Power as a really powerful Psychic type attack. So I wanted to kind of play on that with Chimecho. So we're actually going to change his ability to Simple, which is an ability we see with Swoobat, we see it with Bibarel, things like that. That's going to double any stat boost that it gets. So those Cosmic Powers are actually going to boost up +2 on both defenses, and Calm Mind is going to do the same if you use Calm Mind +2 special attack and +2 special defense. Turn this thing into an absolutely massive sweeping Pokemon, and I actually feel like this probably would be really, really good, like maybe even broken if I'm being totally honest, because aside from like Toxic and stuff like that, which it can run Heal Bell, like I just see this thing being like completely broken in a way, in the sense that you could legitimately just click Cosmic Power once and like most things aren't going to be able to beat you. You can heal yourself up. It's got like Wish. I think it gets Recover. And then you can run like Heal Bell and you can run like a mono stored power. Like this thing would be broken, but we give it a nice little buff to defenses. Its HP is, you know, average at best. Special attack gets a formidable buff, but not anything crazy. Special defense goes pretty much through the roof up to 130 and its speed stays about the same. So it is slow. It does have a pretty low HP stat in general, but I just feel like a Pokemon like this being able to Stored Power or Calm Mind and then click off, or I'm sorry, Cosmic Power and Calm Mind, and then click Stored Power and fire off some really powerful attacks could be pretty cool and just make Chimecho actually legitimate. And I definitely feel like this would make it really, really powerful. And it does have a lot of team support options, like I mentioned, if you decided to not go that route, but definitely would be best as a setup sweeper and just like totally wall things. Like, again, you could Toxic it, but if it has Heal Bell, then you're not going to get much traction there. So pretty interesting idea, pretty interesting set, and really, probably really powerful Pokemon, because I think this thing would just be insane. Like, I really do. Now, Cacturne often doesn't get a ton of love as being a grass and dark type Pokemon in a world of not that many grass and dark type Pokemon. I mean, Shiftry. I don't know if there's any other ones, but grass and dark type Cacturne here. Known for its pretty weird stat distribution, having a really high attack and special attack stat, pretty low speed, gets Sucker Punch, Swords Dance, you can set spikes. That's really what it does, but we're going to talk about it in a couple different ways. So I have it as its ability being Water Absorb and turning to Prankster. I also had another idea, kind of playing off the idea of Absorb Bulb, which is a held item that a lot of people don't know exists, but basically if you get hit by a water attack, your special attack goes up. Same idea as Storm Drain, right? So I kind of can see Cacturne going two routes, either Prankster or Storm Drain, kind of name something different, where it gets a buff if it gets hit by a water type attack and doesn't take damage from it. The Prankster idea really came from kind of inspiration from Mega Banette, where Mega Banette gets Destiny Bond and Prankster, and it kind of can benefit from that. I felt like Cacturne also having Destiny Bond could be really cool, using Prankster Destiny Bond and just having that opportunity there. Also gets Nasty Plot and Swords Dance, so it can set up its stats and to pretty high levels with priority, which is kind of cool. And it does have, like I said, Sucker Punch and some pretty cool unique moves like Spiky Shield defensively, but I wanted to stick to what Cacturne was kind of known for in being an offensive Pokemon on both the physical and the special side. So we're gonna give him significant buffs there to 145 on the attack and special attack side. Nice little, modest buff to his defenses, plus 10 on each side, and then a little buff to his speed just to give him a little bit more wall breaking potential against some of the slower, bulkier Pokemon in the metagame. Ultimately, like I said, I was really torn on whether I was gonna go with like the Prankster idea, because I really feel like Prankster Destiny Bond is just such a cool strategy versus, again, like the Absorb Bulb, Storm Drain type strategy. But nevertheless, I feel like Mega Cacturne is definitely one of those Pokemon that would love to get a Mega Evolution. I'm not sure that there's much you can do with Cacturne to make it like super competitively viable unless you like buff up its defenses, because truthfully, like, its typing is definitely lackluster and its bulk makes it really difficult to do anything. But with a massive 145 attack stat and having the access to like Swords Dance, Sucker Punch, Destiny Bond, and then maybe like Seed Bomb or something like that, you can actually make this thing pretty formidable, because if you're able to successfully get up a Swords Dance, you're going to be wrecking things with Sucker Punch and Seed Bomb, and then you're also having to play the game where like, oh wait, do I have to like, you could play Sucker Punch games where you can Destiny Bond and Sucker Punch and then Destiny Bond again, and like you could really mess with your opponent and kind of make this thing, wreak some havoc against your opponent. So I really like the idea of Mega Cacturne in general, and kind of looking across all the Hoenn Pokemon, I definitely feel like this is one of the Pokemon that deserves a Mega Evolution moving forward. Armaldo is one of the only bug-type Pokemon fossils out there, and it's a really cool design, and it took me forever to realize that Armaldo's eyes are not the red things on its head, but it's actually the things that are sticking out, which are pretty interesting there. Armaldo is unique in the sense that it has the ability Swift Swim prior to Mega Evolution, and it is a bug and rock type Pokemon. It is actually not a water type Pokemon, but it does have Swift Swim to double its speed. I really wanted to play off that idea and make Mega Armaldo a Swift Swim sweeper in its Mega form, similar to Mega Swampert, but a different typing, not relying on being a water type. Pretty interesting stuff, because Armaldo does actually get a variety of water type moves like Aqua Jet and Aqua Tail, some things like that, so you could actually kind of make that work. So I'm kind of looking at Armaldo as definitely being a Swift Swim sweeper, very much so, like I said, Mega Swampert. Now, Armaldo has some really good attack. It's got a massive attack stat. We're going to give him an even bigger buff there to put him up to like almost Mega Heracross levels. His defense is going to go up a little bit, and he's also going to get a nice little speed buff to kind of take advantage of that Swift Swim even better and allow him to really outspeed pretty much everything in the metagame with Rain boosted. So Mega Armaldo is one of those unique picks in the sense that it would have to have a lot of team support with it. Chances are you'd have to have a Pokemon that carries, Drizzle or Rain Dance or whatever. I mean, I guess it can self-set it up yourself. One of the weird things though is by setting up the Rain, you actually kind of enhance one of your weaknesses to water types, because you obviously are a rock type. Pretty interesting stuff there. But that massive attack stat, having the ability to potentially Swords Dance, then fire off Aqua Jets, or even just be an offensive Pokemon in general through, going for Stone Edge and X Scissor. It gets knockoff, it can set up Stealth Rocks, it could be a Rapid Spinner, more defensive type. So I really feel like there's a lot of things that Armaldo can do, and it's like put into the depths of the low tiers of competitive Pokemon because of its typing. Really, like Bug Rock just really leaves a bit to be desired. It's a Stealth Rocker and a Rapid Spinner, but it's weak to Rock, so that's not very good. It's got a lot of common weaknesses to like water, as I mentioned, and even though it has neutralities to like fire and stuff, it just doesn't really kind of make it by, unfortunately. But I feel like by giving it a massive attack buff, that's gonna make this thing a monster, because honestly, like Earthquake plus Stone Edge is just such a good type combination together, and I feel like Armaldo can do that, plus have Aqua Tail, plus have X Scissor or Knockoff, as I mentioned, or like I said, support the team otherwise. So really kind of a different approach on what Mega Swampert does for competitive is what I was kind of envisioning for Mega Armaldo, and I really like its design. I feel like with a Mega Evolution, it could be way cooler, and we have seen Aerodactyl get a Mega Evolution, so really nothing's out of the question here. Do not sleep on my homie Kecleon. We absolutely need a Mega Kecleon moving forward. Kecleon is such a cool Pokemon in the sense that it's got a pretty decent attack stat, really good special defense. It's got an amazing ability in Protein, which can basically turn any of its attacks into stab and give him boosts. And he's a pretty cool Pokemon. One of the things I love to do with him is, one, he can set up Stealth Rocks, which is really cool. Two, it has Trick Room. And three, I love the shenanigans of using things like Shadow Sneak and stuff to potentially change your typing and then dodge attacks and give yourself immunities with Sucker Punch. And, there's a lot of things that Kecleon can kind of do. So I kind of wanted to approach him in a way of that same Trick Room type sweeper with really powerful attacks and just like a good natural bulk without being like too OP bulky. So that's what Kecleon's Mega Evolution is kind of what I envisioned here. So you've got a massive buff to his attack stat going up to 140, which is pretty crazy considering that he's going to have all these priority moves like Shadow Sneak and Sucker Punch. So perhaps that might be a little too much, but we're going to give him a little buff to defense just to kind of round out of his defenses. His HP is really low regardless, so he's not going to be the super bulkiest thing. I went with like Goodra-like special defense though, because I just really felt like that was what he kind of like exemplified in general was, a really especially bulky Pokemon. And then we're going to actually leave his speed stat the same, because I think that being able to benefit from Trick Room or using various priority moves is what makes Kecleon a unique Pokemon. So kind of looking at that, like I mentioned, there's a lot of things you could do with this Pokemon. You can make him, like I mentioned, a Stealth Rock lead. You can make him just have coverage. It gets like the elemental punches. It gets so many different things. Power up punch. There's just a lot of opportunities. So it really takes Kecleon's like Assault Vest type sets or Trick Room type sets and makes them a little bit kind of enhanced with these stat buffs. And I think you have to just keep the protein ability because it's such a good ability. I mean, we see it on Greninja, making it one of the best Pokemon in the game, and having Kecleon with that is so unique. And I just really love Kecleon, man. Like, I've used it actually in competitive before in Draft League and stuff, and it definitely falls short in certain areas, but it can be a really kind of surprisingly good Pokemon at times if you find the right matchup for it. Just maybe you have to face, like, you know, Gengar or something. It can be really good against Pokemon like that. So really excited about Kecleon, and I genuinely hope that this Pokemon gets some sort of buff in the future because it's just such a unique normal type, and we don't see too many with Trick Room either, so I definitely like that aspect. I don't think I could have done a Hoenn countdown without a Mega Milotic on this video here, and Milotic is one of those Pokemon that you could really go a lot of different ways with its Mega Evolution. You can go Fairy type, you can go, this design almost looks Dark type, but I'm gonna kind of stick with it being pure Water. You can even do Dragon. I just really like this art. I thought it was very like vampire-esque, kind of like edgy looking. But we're going to take Mega Milotic here, which is known for being a very, very good defensive Pokemon with Marvel Scale, reliable recovery and recover, kind of a anti-setup Pokemon with Haze, being able to Dragon Tail things out, and being able to just kind of Scald and just sponge hits. A lot of times you'll see it run with like Flame Orb, so it can kind of boost its defense with Marvel Scale and really take very little damage there, and makes it immune to Toxic. So we're going to lose some of that, but we're actually going to give it the Magic Bounce ability. Its scales gain magic powers and allow it to reflect off any of those status type moves. So while it can't be burned or anything anymore and gain defensive boost through Marvel Scale, it actually is going to get a buff otherwise in just being immune to status and things like that. So pretty cool. Milotic doesn't really have a ton of setup opportunities anyway, so I don't think Magic Bounce like makes it OP, but he's going to become very, very bulky on the special side. Give him a modest special attack buff because I really feel like this is more of a defensive type pivot Pokemon, like a more Wally type Pokemon. Anti-entry hazards with Magic Bounce. Give him some really good defense, and then his special defense is just going to go through the roof. So this thing is going to be very difficult to take down, but again, it loses its main kind of appeal in the Marvel Scale, but it also still has the ability to burn things with Will-O-Wisp to reduce their attack stat. So I really feel like this kind of a set is destined to be like a really, really good Pokemon, but I don't know if it would be OP. I don't know. It's probably like almost a Suicune-esque in terms of bulk, maybe even obviously bulkier than Suicune, which is kind of crazy, but it doesn't have the setup potential. So that kind of makes it so it's more so like team supporty and, you know, as I mentioned, keeping the hazards off the field and kind of staying alive and just sponging hits from those wall breakers, really kind of bridging the gap between your defensive and offensive Pokemon. So I feel like that's kind of a cool approach to Mega Milotic. I know you can go a lot of different ways with it, as I had mentioned. I've seen other theories of like Fairy type and Dragon type and stuff like that, but I really felt like sticking to just pure Water and then kind of focusing on what it does best, which is just like sponge those hits and kind of, you know, whittle the team down and stuff would be kind of a cool approach. So that's what we're gonna rock with for Mega Milotic. Now, I'm super excited for this Mega Evolution for the Hoenn region, and it is Mega Luvdisc. Now, Luvdisc is a Pokemon that is often forgotten and really kind of underestimated in a way because it's got Swift Swim, but its stats are really, really mediocre. But we're gonna have Mega Luvdisc evolve or Mega Evolve into this, and it's gonna stay pure Water type because I just feel like that's the most fitting. We're actually gonna give it the Regenerator ability, which allows it to sponge hits and kind of gain health back. That's because it purifies the water and it's just spreading around some joy, being a little heart. This is gonna be the one exception I make to adding to its HP stat. Generally, Mega Evolutions, we haven't seen them gain HP, but in this case, we're actually going to give it a massive buff to its HP up to 122 because the heart is a very strong thing and we don't want to have that go down. It's going to get a nice little attack buff, allowing it to benefit from things like Aqua Jet and stuff like that. Nice little buff to its defenses. Its physical defense is going to go up. Special defense actually does go down though to kind of counteract that massive HP buff. Speed is actually going to slow down because he's going to get a little bit bigger and he's going to be able to need to take those hits. So we're actually going to take Luvdisc and make it a way more defensive Pokemon as opposed to kind of the powerhouse sweeper that it previously was under Rain. But I really like this idea and I like this design for Luvdisc. I feel like this is definitely the direction I'd like to see it go if it Mega Evolved, and just having that natural bulk with Regenerator is going to be really, really beneficial. It can have Wish and it can protect. It can kind of support the team with hazard or with healing and things up. It can have Healing Wish, and then of course it does lack on the offensive side of things, but what it lacks there, it really is an effective Pokemon to switch into attack, similar to kind of Mega Milotic, but almost a different approach. So really excited to kind of see this come to fruition, and hopefully they'll do Mega Luvdisc because I'd really like to see Mega Luvdisc and at the very least this design here, because I really like the fan arts design in terms of kind of what we envision for Mega Luvdisc moving forward. Now, I mentioned early in the countdown that I was super excited about Mega Masquerain, and I'm also very excited about this idea, which is Mega Shedinja. Now, Shedinja is a super duper unique Pokemon in the sense that it only has 1 HP, and it's got the ability Wonder Guard, which makes it so it only dies to super effective attacks like rock type moves and ghost type moves and things like that. Now, being Bug Ghost, it has a handful of weaknesses, and Wonder Guard's ability is great, but it also means it dies to things like Leech Seed and weather, like Sandstorm and Hail and Stealth Rocks and Spikes and poison damage and all sorts of stuff. So Shedinja really gets kind of the short end of the stick when it comes to all the entry hazards and things that are in the metagame, but I do believe in Shedinja, and I do believe a Mega Shedinja could be super duper cool. So we're gonna take a look at it this way. By removing the fact that it runs Focus Sash or Lumberry a lot of the time and giving it a Mega Stone, you're actually removing one of its kind of core ways to survive a surprise attack. But nevertheless, we're gonna actually give him some massive buffs here. His attack is gonna go from 90 up to 150, so that's gonna allow him to hit really hard. And he does have moves like Shadow Sneak and X Scissor and stuff like that. So I really like the idea of Shedinja getting some buffs there. Sucker Punch as well, so it can have some really good buffs there. You can get Swords Dance on it through Ninjask, so you can have a massive attack stat there. He's gonna lose some defense, lose some special attack, lose some special defense, because we don't even need those, but we do need speed. This thing is gonna be so blazing fast. It's gonna go up to 140 base speed. It's gonna get 100 speed points. He's gonna be zooming around everywhere, just hitting things really hard with a massive attack stat, and this is the exact definition of a glass cannon, the most glass of cannons ever. And I think this would make for a super unique Pokemon in the competitive metagame, in the sense that, yes, it's so easy to counter. You just set up Stealth Rocks and it's dead no matter what. But in the right situation, if it's able to get up a Swords Dance against something that wasn't expecting it, it can proceed to just decimate a team by just X Scissoring and Shadow Sneaking or any of that stuff. Just Shadow Clawing, it could just wreck through a team that way if you were able to just get up a Swords Dancer. If you teach it U-turn, it can pivot around, things like that. Obviously, it needs a really good support Pokemon though. It needs something to keep those hazards off the field. It needs something that can take on those super effective type attacks and take on those priority type attacks, because it obviously just dies to things like Sucker Punch and stuff too. So really cool idea though. I'd love to see it, because I love Shedinja. I think it's a super unique Pokemon. Obviously one of the most unique Pokemon. Only having 1 HP point is crazy. So kind of wanted to take that idea and really magnify it up and just give it a massive attack and massive speed. The only things it can really use and make it kind of unique in that sense. So it'll keep its Wonder Guard ability and hopefully take some souls with it, because I think that would be pretty darn cool. I think if I did this video and didn't put Mega Flygon in it, people would completely riot. This is probably the most wanted, anticipated, and hoped Mega for any Pokemon game ever, and they've said in the past that they couldn't do Mega Flygon because they couldn't come up with a cool design. Well, I got one here, and if you just search Mega Flygon art, there's a ton of really cool options and really cool designs out there for fan-made Mega Flygon art. But we're gonna make it Dragon Bug, because why not? We've never had a Dragon Bug before, and I think a lot of people think that Flygon should be Bug type already, so maybe we'll make it Dragon Bug. Its ability is Levitate. We're actually gonna switch that up and give it a new ability called Terrate, or Terra Eyes. I don't know, but it's basically gonna take those normal type moves and turn them into ground type moves and boost their power. I'm also gonna take it another step up and make it basically so any move that is a normal type move that turns into a ground type move is also gonna have the 1,000 Arrows effect, which means that if a Pokemon is a flying type or has Levitate, it is not immune to the ground type move. For those who don't know, Zygarde has 1,000 Arrows. It allows it to hit pretty much everything in the metagame, because Levitate, flying types, they don't ignore that. So we're gonna actually add that to Flygon's ability, and maybe that makes him too OP. Maybe not, I don't know. But I want to mention that you're going to take those normal type moves and boost them, and that is perfect for Boom Burst, baby. Boom Burst is a massively powerful special attack stat, attacking move that would turn to ground type and make for just a super strong earth power, essentially. And I've got some cool ideas here. So Flygon does a couple things. It can Dragon Dance and set up there. It also can simply just be a mixed attacker with like a Life Orb generally. It also gets U-turn. So I wanted to kind of focus on those aspects. So we're gonna give him a nice little buff to speed up to 140. It's gonna make him pretty blazing fast and allow him to wall break there. His attack and special attack are actually not gonna be that high, and you're gonna have to use Dragon Dance to boost him to make his attack better, but just naturally they're not that high. And actually I feel like his ability Terrate is really only gonna benefit itself from the special side with like Boom Burst. So you have to decide, like, am I gonna use him specially? Am I gonna use him physically? Am I gonna use him mixed? And kind of by dividing the two, it almost balances it out by itself. But good attack stat going up to 130. Again, it's natural bulk. is average. Like 80 across the board isn't bad, but you're losing that big 4 times ice weakness, which I think is big by making it Dragon Bug. So you lose that big ice weakness that you previously had. You're adding a Stealth Rot weakness though, which could be a little easier to wear him down. So you have to keep that in mind. You're losing your own Levitate, but that you gain a resistance in Bug anyway. So pretty cool stuff. I mean, obviously it doesn't have the best ways to deal with things like fairies and stuff like that, but I feel like by giving it that really good speed stat, allowing it to U-turn around, giving it a pretty good special attack buff, allowing it to go for things like Boom Burst with that Tear Raid ability, there's a lot of opportunities here. And again, there's a lot of directions I've seen with Mega Flygon. People have made it have a sound-based amplifier type ability that boosts Boom Burst. Cool idea. I've seen people obviously conceptualize the bug typing and maybe other types in general. So lots of opportunities for Mega Flygon, and this is definitely the one Mega, if there's going to be any Mega that we get in Pokemon Sword and Shield, it's got to be Flygon, man. This is like an absolute fan favorite Pokemon. So if Megas come back, we need Mega Flygon. Hit that like button if you agree with me. Subscribe if you guys are new for more high quality Pokemon content as we talk about Sword and Shield coming up in the next few months, man. I'm very excited about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you again. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's gonna be it for me, guys. My name is Dan. I also go by aDrive, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.